The theme of my vegetable display at Chelsea has always been obviously about a vast range of vegetables. I would generally show about 40 to 45 different cultivars. But the basis of it has always been on the exhibition side, how we grow them for showing. And this is the setup I got here for the long roots, the parsnips and the long carrots, and the long carrots behind me here, which is a different experiment. So these are on 45-gallon drums. There's another half a drum on top, and they're also on a bed of sand. The barrels are filled with what we call concreting sand, which is fairly coarse, so they can get a good depth. And this variety is Viking, and this was sown on the 22nd of November. Now, right above here, we have some artificial lights. They've done a treat of a job because they're not the expensive ones to run. Now, one thing to tell you about parsnips is, before we take the root out, we take the top off, leave about 4 inches, and you've got to be very careful because you can get a rash, or it resembles actually a cigarette burn on your skin. And that is prevalent as well in the same family, which is the umbelliferae family. So you can get it on parsnips, get it on celery. But funny enough, I haven't had it on carrots, which is again in the same family. So let's see what this one pulls like. Got to clear the sand from around it. And I honestly haven't got a clue what they're going to pull like. People think that everything I stage on my display in Chelsea is actually perfect every time. Well, not everything we sow and pull is perfect. So what I first do, I grab it quite tightly and I twist it round. That will snap the side roots. And that will give me a decent opportunity. And that's why I'm wearing these gloves and long sleeves, even though it's quite hot, because I don't want this burn marks. And they usually happen when the weather is hot and you're sweating. And I can see this is going to be a good one because it's turning around within its own circle. And that's just snapped now, so I don't know how long this is going to be. But it's usually a very white variety. Yeah, that's just what I need. Yay! That's a good one. That's a really good one. That's got beautiful form, beautiful finish. It's got a beautiful white skin. So if the real Chelsea had been around, I know for a fact now I would have had a good set of parsnips. Now these carrots were sown later. These were sown on December the 12th. Now again, I haven't got a clue what I've got here. They're not as heavy as I would have liked this year for some reason, but we'll see what they pull like. You've got to be very careful when you pull it. It's a good sign that they pull fairly neat. And there's the long carrot. Now these look beautiful to me. To other people they look big, they're not edible, but I can tell you one thing for a fact. These are perfectly edible. They've been given a lot of TLC. They'll be washed now very carefully with a soft sponge, wrapped in moist paper, placed in boxes and taken of course to Chelsea. We'll cut the tops off about 3 inches long and they'll be harvested and staged on the display in a triangular form. Now then, we did an experiment on another type of growing, which is not in sand, it's not even in soil, and it's not even in peat. It's in coir. And look how healthy these foliage is. Now, these were sown actually about 3 weeks later than the ones in the sand. And I usually put this little collar on first, which supports the young seedling, because when you're watering, the young seedling tends to go on his flat, on his back, and I don't want that to happen. So let's see what we got here. This is coir. It's a canna cocoa, and it's been fed with the liquid nutrients, the canna A and B, and the low pH. So I'm just slackering enough around here now. these should be more difficult to pull because they're tighter. This is an experiment, and the idea is eventually to stage at Chelsea a high percentage of vegetables not grown in peat or soil, but grown in cocoa, and in particular the Cana Cocoa Professional. Now this is coming slowly. If I had more time, I would remove the pipe first rather than pulling it this way and dig underneath to get as much of the root as possible. Because obviously the long root is not edible, but it doesn't half enhance the exhibit. So here we go, that's gone, click. So, hey. Ooh, very happy with that. Now that has got a beautiful skin finish. Now let's go and compare it. These were sown 3 weeks later. The colour is better in the ones in the sand and the soil peat mix, but these are younger and they haven't developed yet to their full colour. But the skin condition is far superior on the one in the Cana Cocoa, and that's definite. Right then, I'm happy with them. Now the next video I'm going to do will be on the creme de la creme of the display, or would have been, and these are the large onions. So we'll talk about them next. Sod Slow is the no Chelsea, and I've got the best onions I've probably ever had for Chelsea. They are really, really good. I was hoping to get them up to about 16 inches to show them on the stand, but believe it or not, there's this one here, and I've only got about 17 of these onions altogether. But I think this one is now getting on for 21 inches. Now that would be a fairly good onion during August, September, to be honest with you. It's a lovely onion, lots of foliage, but the idea now is to lift one for you to see how I would actually do that and how I would actually show it at the show in Chelsea. So, and these are grown in the autopot system. It's only a 15-litre pot, and some of the bigger onions here are only about an inch from the side of the pot. They're grown in coir, non-peat, which is professional coir from Cana Horticulture, my sponsor. And now we're going to cut through the root system. Now that should come off now fairly handy, I hope. There is a big root system on these, I can tell you that, and I'll show it to you in a minute. So here we go. Now that's some weight in that onion, I can tell you. Put it on the operating theatre. I'm going to trim the roots. Now, for exhibition, around the August, September time, the necks would be a lot thinner on these. They would have been lifted at least 3 weeks to a month before the show date. But the idea here is, because we're actually in the middle of May, it's a lot different. So I'm going to skin it down to the white skin, one single skin. Now I've got to make a decision, because the necks are so thick, they're a big onion, but what a beautiful layer of leaves these are. It's a picture in itself. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to cut the top off. And this is something I've never done before. And I was having a debate with my son what was the best way to do it. This leaf is finished, so we'll cut that. And I think the best way to show them would be this way. Now this would be sacrilege for some people probably. On the other side as well. Try to get it balanced a bit. And this, one good thing about this, it'll give me a dummy run for next year. Just finish getting it down to one skin. Now there we are. So, I don't know if I like it or not. I'd like to know what you think of it, but perhaps it could be the other way. That way cut, and more of the leaves. But don't forget, they're going to sit next to each other on the stand. By the way, we've got some radish here. These wouldn't have been ready for Chelsea, but we would have had them, and that's the way we would have grown them, in a container like that. Got some French beans that we would have shown growing in the pot. But this is the autopot system with the canna coir in it, and we intended to show these in Chelsea in the pot because it shows you this fabulous root system here, so people can see how they've grown such a big onion in such a small pot. An important element of our vegetable display has always been the potatoes, our humble diet, if you like, our staple diet. And we do about 4 or 5 different varieties. I always aim to try and get colour, and I always try and grow an early or a second early, never a main crop, because they'd never be ready for Chelsea. And these are started off in the greenhouse around about Christmas time. They're planted up in only a 2-litre pot, a plastic pot about 6 inches across, 1 potato in each pot, and then come end of February, early March, when the tops are about 9 inches tall, they're taken from the greenhouse into the cold polytunnel, and after about a week of stabilising there, they are planted in the soil, which has been enriched with some old spent compost that we've had. So they've had a very good grounding to grow in. Now the methodology with having show potatoes is getting the right varieties. This is a variety called Amour, which is a lovely rosy colour, very shallow eyes, which is an essential part for exhibition. And to get the good skin finish, I can actually rub it with this green thing, because I've actually removed the haulms from the top of the potato about 2 weeks before I lifted them. So the skin has set on the potato and it won't scratch. And then I finish them off with a bit of the smooth stuff. And I also have a little stick here which will clean any bits of, if there's any dark soil on here anywhere, bits of stuff that I don't want to be there, I remove them. And there's not a lot on this one actually, but there we are. And it always goes behind the ear. And when I'm looking for it next time, I can't find it, can I? Because it's always behind my ear. This is a white variety. I'll give it a rough clean first with the green. And this is a variety called Casablanca. Probably one of the earliest potatoes. Well then, what have I done with my stick? Here we go. Probably one of the earliest potatoes. It's actually ready in about 8 weeks from planting, if you plant it in the early spring. It's a lovely potato to eat, and what's good about it as well, you can fry it, which is unusual for most of the early potatoes. So that's how we do the potatoes. Also, as part of our display, we've got other stuff growing here. Now, what you see here now is the stuff we would have had separately for Chelsea, but they're actually grown in raised beds. Over here, we've got some turnips, some white turnips. These would have been actually grown independently, about 30 in the single pots, 2-litre pots. And over here, we've got some red ones. We've got a yellow one, which is very nice. Lovely, just diced and steamed and a blob of butter. Ooh, what better. We've got over there, we've got some turnips as well. We've got some courgettes. Some of them are ready. Over here we've got some beautiful pak choy. What a lovely colour that is. And these would have been grown as well independently in 2-litre pots, but no Chelsea, so we're eating them, and that's the beauty of growing veg.